Welcome to Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District Virtual Academy Day in the Life series. This video provides information and samples for middle and high school students, grades 6 through 12. We begin by looking at middle school. First, identifying a few items about the middle school student. In elementary school, both parents and the classroom teacher provide significant support, encouragement, and structure for learning. Students have a few individuals who instruct and guide in academics. As children move into adolescence, the influence of these individuals is still strong, but diminishes with each middle school year, being replaced by their own independence and the influence of peers. This transfer is to be celebrated and encouraged, but it isn't a switch. Rather, it is a continuum seeking to build confidence, independence, and life skills as part of academic learning. Because of that, we often recommend a bit more structure to the schedule, at least at the very beginning, as you'll see in the daily sample schedule. With that gradual release of responsibility, a sample daily schedule looks similar to one found in traditional classrooms. A student has the structured schedule to build good study habits. The schedule should focus on studying more rigorous subjects before the student tires. Note that exercise is first thing in the morning, designed specifically to get blood flowing to provide more oxygen to the brain. While exercise can be later in the day, the movement, which is often not used in a virtual environment, reflects some of the activities students would naturally use to transition from sleeping to eating, dressing, transporting, and then learning in a traditional school setting. Using the same schedule generally over the week builds in good habits that students can use to focus their learning. The sample weekly schedule has more flexibility on Wednesdays as a break in the routine while still providing the structure that adolescent learners require to become self-sufficient in their learning. Your family can design a learning schedule that fits both your lifestyle and requirements. Additionally, you'll notice that Wednesdays have a social-emotional learning time and a service project or other activity to help with the transfer of responsibility and provide additional learning opportunities. It is important for us to remember that middle school students are not mini adults. Their critical thinking is developing, and with that, they test rules and guidelines as part of their natural development. With that development should come some sort of emotional guidance. 3 areas that students need in a virtual learning, well, really in their lives in general, include communication, both in person and online, informal and in informal settings. Digital citizenship, bullying, and friendship skills are important to include with explicit instruction or teachable moments. These areas were never more prevalent than experienced and observed during this past year with distance learning. Virtual learning environments share some of the same characteristics as distance learning for social development. Every middle school student should have some learning outlets that bring joy and build confidence. In a virtual environment, these can include online instruction, offline instruction, or both. You as a family can decide based on student interest whether that includes technology, more traditional media forms, or expands into languages and culture. One way to expand student learning is by having family or virtual school field trips. These field trips can be done locally or short excursions. Virtual field trips are also an option. Middle school is an increasingly wide-open experience with more activities and access to more adults for learning. Building a rich experience balanced with good study habits builds confidence and responsibility in the middle school student. As the child progresses in adolescence, the influence of peers and the responsibility for all things in life increases. The high school student who has good study habits tends to work more independently and takes responsibility for much of their learning and social life. High school students can focus for longer periods of time, preferring to work until they've reached a more natural stopping point than just the clock. They continue to build their reasoning skills, sometimes demonstrated in arguments with parents. Remember, they still are not full-time adults, but want many of the privileges that adulthood brings: driving, working, managing their own social life. One area that most teenagers do not do well with managing is their sleep patterns, on quantity and consistency, often choosing to stay up late. With that in mind, you should be building a schedule that works for that. Because of the sleep requirements, we recommend starting the day later to give them time to warm up their brains before tackling academic subjects. Many choose not to eat breakfast either. Give them the time to do so. Make sure you build a schedule that works for both the student and the rest of the family with outside activity time, whether those are competitive sports, work, or just even study groups. You can go with a more traditional schedule, much like you see here, which is really excellent in the first 2 years of a student while they're taking increasing responsibility for their academics, and allowing afternoon time for work, sports, or other activities. The key to this schedule is consistency to build self-learning habits. Additionally, you can provide something with more flexibility. You can combine some structure as well as open times for more in-depth experiences, balancing me time and richer educational experiences away from home, along with a schedule that is easy to maintain. High school courses follow the California state standards and meet University of California's A through G subject matter requirements. A high school student must have 220 credits to graduate. Following the A through G guidelines not only meets requirements for graduation, they also meet college entrance requirements. Advanced placement classes are also an option, along with many different electives. Finally, virtual learning should be balanced with social-emotional needs. For high school, you should get your student out of the house with both peers in either academic settings, such as study groups or group projects, and in social settings with sports, community functions, or other opportunities. All high school students should have a community service project to help develop communication skills with adults, as well as feel the satisfaction of helping someone other than themselves. Thank you for viewing this short introduction to virtual learning concepts in the secondary grades for Cotati Roanoke Park's Virtual Academy. As new information becomes available, we will continue to post updates.